Here's a sneak peek of what your Echo can do that we're going to discuss in this very episode.
I'll remind you on the first Monday of every month at 9 a.m. and follow up once a day until you tell me this is done.
Bam! What do you think of that? Isn't that bogus, man? That's pretty cool. Well, hello. As you heard there at the very opening of the podcast, we're going to be covering a really unique topic today and a different thing that I've stumbled across by complete accident, dealing with follow-up reminders, a different aspect of that than we've covered in previous episodes. For our new listeners and people that are just stumbling into our podcast for the very first time, I'd like to welcome you. My name is David Ward. I'm an assistive technology instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill, and you have found the Echo Tips podcast, where we have little nuggetized episodes, somewhere 5 to 15 minutes long, where we cover new games, hardware, new skills, new features on the Amazon Echo, home automation. We cover topics for parents, young ones, seniors, caregivers, those with disabilities, all sorts of different aspects of the Amazon Echo and how it can improve your life and make things easier for you and just be fun too. Well, we'd like to welcome you to the podcast, you new ones, and our returning listeners, we'd like to welcome you back as well. And because of both of you, over 100,000 listens to the podcast. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be dealing with an aspect of follow-up reminders that I didn't know ever existed. That's right. Going back to episode 222, we talked about follow-up reminders, which is like reminders with to the nuclear level, all right, so that you get an hourly chime about something if you don't respond and acknowledge it. But I found out there's even a different way to do it that actually gives you a daily notice about a particular item. So we're going to cover that in this episode, but before we get into any sort of depth about that, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Well, hello again, and welcome back to the podcast. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about follow-up reminders, which are like nuclear reminders, but two different aspects. One we covered back in episode 222, but this aspect we're covering today I had never heard of before. Now, if you do have an Echo and hearing distance to me before I start doing the demonstrations, you may want to shut its ears off. That way I'm not tripping up your Echo at home while you're listening to this demonstration. So I'll just give you a second to do that. And you're welcome to pause the podcast if that helps and come back. But while y'all are doing that, I'm going to mention for those that are unfamiliar with reminders what they're all about. So reminders go back to the earliest days of the Amazon Echo. In fact, as far as I know, it was with the very first Echo from the very first day it was taken out of the box. Reminders are completely independent of timers, alarms, or calendars. They have nothing to do with those. I think there may be some sort of interaction you can have now with certain things, but they've always been kind of historically totally independent. And so just bear that in mind. Now, unlike an alarm, which will chime or jingle at you or maybe play a song, whatever you've set the alarm to do, you may not know what the jingle is about. Why is my alarm going off at 9 a.m.? You may not know. Reminders solve that problem with the ability for you to attach a label to it. So you could say, "Hey, lady, create a reminder." She'll come back and ask what it's for. And you say, "Medication," right? You say, "It's a medication. Take your medication." And then the following morning, when you set it at 9 a.m., it will chime at 9 a.m. And not only that, it will say, "Take your medication." Whatever label you've attached to it it will do. Now, that's super cool and super helpful, especially if you were to make it a repeating reminder, which is possible, which is it would just go off every day. Say 9 a.m., something you needed like a medication. But you can take it to the next level, as we learned in episode 222, which is follow-up reminders, where not only will it go off at 9 a.m., it will go off every hour after that until you have verbally acknowledged it and say, hey, lady, I'm done with that. And it will keep coming back and say, take your medication. Now, you can imagine with certain things, maybe a particular type of medication, maybe you just came back from the hospital or something, it's something very urgent, you may really need that kind of nuclear follow-up reminder. And you may even be good for certain family members. You may think that this is something really important they should have. And so, super cool, super cool. And you can technically set all reminders to be follow-up reminders inside the app, but I won't necessarily recommend it unless there's a really good reason you want to, because it is pretty right there in your face telling you all the time. Now, the new aspect of this, we're going to learn about right now. Say there's something I want to do every month. Like David, me, I'm kind of delinquent lately in turning in my monthly report at work at New Vision. It's been kind of crazy with COVID and moving and family in town. So I've been kind of dropping the ball on submitting a report to Mr. S. So I want something that's going to remind me every month. The first, day I come in the office on Mondays, I want it to remind me, right? The first Monday of every month. Say it's due on the first Tuesday of every month, something like that. So I'm going to set a reminder for that. Alexa, create a follow-up reminder for the first Monday of every month.
What's the reminder for?
File your report with Mr. S.
At what time should I remind you?
9 a.m.
Okay, I'll remind you on the first Monday of every month at 9 a.m. and follow up once a day until you tell me this is done.
Bam! What do you think of that? Isn't that bogus, man? That's pretty cool. So you can actually, as a result, get a reminder every day after that until, once again, you acknowledge that, hey, lady, we're done with that. And that way it doesn't slip by you. So you might imagine certain things, maybe bills you got to pay during the month, maybe a water bill that's due on the 20th. You set a follow-up reminder for the 15th of every month, maybe 5 days out. And it'll just chime until you finally cut the check and stick it in the envelope and mail it, then tell her she's done, with that. So super, super cool. Now, it is a little bit of a mouthful to delete these as well. So let me just demo that real quick. Alexa, delete the reminder on the first Monday of every month.
File your report with Mr. S. on the first Monday of every month at 9 a.m. canceled.
There you go. There you go. It's just that simple. A little bit of a mouthful, but if you get it out, it will definitely do it. Now, if you have more than one on there, it'll triage you and ask you which one you want to delete, and you would just say the 9 a.m., the 10 a.m. You may have a lot of things you're trying to do at the very first of the month that have to be done. So that might be good to know. All right, just an additional point I will mention to you all, if you really want to go down a rabbit hole with reminders, and we covered this in an earlier episode, but I just want to bring it out again. You can go into the A-Lady app on your phone or tablet. You tap on the More button in the bottom right corner. You go to Settings, and then you'll scroll down a list and you will find an entirely separate category called Reminders. And that's where you can tailor these reminders to be specific to you, both the alarm volume level. You can set whether everything is a follow-up reminder or it's judicious and that, you have to say that specifically. You can say how many times it jingles at you when it goes off at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday to remind you about medication. You can even set it to come out on your phone. In case you're down in the basement and you didn't hear it go off, or you were out of the house getting the mail or something, it'll still chime on your phone as well, especially for those important things. You may want to tailor that to your needs. So once again, under More, Settings, Reminders, you'll find a gob of things you can do right there. All right, so it was a pleasure having you with us today. If you'd like to reach out with thoughts, suggestions, questions about a future episode, I would love to hear suggestions. I'm always struggling to maybe find new content and things to present to you all that I think are really effective and powerful and useful and even new. And so I would love to hear that. You can contact us on Facebook or Twitter at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys and just mention the Echo Tips podcast, or David Ward was there and he had a question about something on the podcast or a suggestion. You can also reach out to us via email at info@goodwillvalleys.com. And if you want to find out more about my program that I'm involved with at Goodwill, you can look us up at goodwillvalleys.com/New Vision. That's all lowercase and no spaces. All right, well, I think we've reached the end of our episode, but it is that time again. What time is that? It's time to turn the ears back on your Echo and start practicing some of the many, many things that you've learned. I'm David Ward for the New Vision program, and we thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. Let me tell you a bit more. Let me put on my official sounding voice. Ahem. Ahem. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Phew! Thanks for listening.